this is supposed to be the pre-show banter where
Okay.
it sounds like we're having a random conversation and then we slice it in the show.
Got it.
And make it sound like it wasn't scripted, but it sort of kind of was.
Right.
Although not really. We kind of hit record and then I intentionally have a subject picked that could lead to some interesting pre-show banter. Except this time I'm totally not prepared.
You just gave away all our secrets.
Hey everyone, you are listening to episode 21 of the Recurring Bosscast. I'm Jett from SplitKick.com. With me is Matt from Biff Bam Pop and the Screamin' Ego.
It's the Matt and Jett Show.
Woo! NHL 94 edition of the Recurring Bosscast.
Yes, anniversary edition.
Yes. Did you see all the NHL 94 mode stuff?
Oh, I can't get enough of it. Honestly, you know, it's kind of cool to look at. They've got the star. That's really all I care about. The star, the star and the spinorama.
And the blue ice.
Yes, and the blue ice. Yeah, it's going to be pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. I have not bought an NHL game in years, but seeing NHL 94 in there just made me go, you know what, maybe I should do this.
Yeah.
This is the year.
It's funny, they've always had, I think at least in the last few years, they've always had the NHL 94 control options, so you can only just play with the, 3 or 4 buttons. But yeah, this is a fully sort of all-inclusive, just like the old-time game, with the newer graphics, but basically they're trying to emulate the exact same feel, so it'd be interesting to play.
Good on them.
Yeah.
We should absolutely have an NHL 94 night once that comes out.
Oh man, I plan on having many NHL 94 nights.
So notably absent from today's episode is Jason. We tried to schedule things around so that he could show up, but he is now in Indiana for his friend's wedding.
Weddings.
So, yeah, I just finished one of those a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
What was I going to say? So, I mean, keeping on with Bosscast tradition, I am a paper shredder when I am gone, and you have become the air humidifier owl thing.
Right.
So, look in your room. What is Jason?
Oh man, I don't know. Did you got something in your room that's interesting?
That was the humidifier that looks like an owl.
Oh right, you have the humidifier. You know what? Liza, just for my birthday, got me a brand new humidor.
A humidor.
And Jason's always keeping things fresh.
All right. There it is.
He's a fresher. I'm going on break.
Oh, man. R.I.P. Mitch Hedberg.
I know.
Awesome.
Yeah. So maybe Jason is the humidor of the group. Keeps everything fresh.
All right. And I guess you, as the humidifier, keep everything wet?
Oh, yeah,
Moist?
I guess it's the same thing, I guess.
Yeah,
No,
I think
it's too close. It's too close. We got to figure something else out. What else do I have here? I've got a brand new black laundry basket.
Okay.
So, sometimes Jay carries the show.
Yes.
So, laundry basket carries the laundry.
All right, there we go.
I don't know. I could be reaching.
No, that sounds very apt.
So you are the paper shredder. I am the humidifier, and Jason is a brand new black laundry basket.
Ta-da! There we go. That's when the alternate universe Bosscast happens. It'll just be those three objects staring at each other.
I was going to say, I shudder to think when 3 of us don't show up. Just be a bunch of buzzing and whirring and humidifying.
Yes. All right, so Jason is out, but you're back. You went to the Bahamas. Tell us all about it.
It's fantastic. I went down water slides with Puff Daddy.
So the internet wants to know. They were talking about it on Rocket Jump.
Okay.
They wanted to know exactly what happened between you and Diddy.
Okay, so it wasn't as glamorous as I made it out to be. Basically, I was at the top of the water slide. They got this thing called the Leap of Faith, and it's basically the one that you see on TV all the time where you like go down and you go through a shark tank and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm standing at the top of the line, and all of a sudden I'd see these bunch of guys kind of like start to push their way up the line, and 2 gigantic black guys with muscles and gigantic tattoos and everything come through, and they're like, "Excuse me, pardon me, excuse me." And following behind them is this tiny little guy in a white t-shirt, and I kind of looked at him and I went, "Holy crap, that's Puff Daddy." And then everybody in the line started turning around. They're like, "Oh," and then the murmur kind of started, like, "Oh, it's Puff Daddy. Oh man, P Diddy's here," And so he kind of walked to the front of the line, and he was waving, kind of shaking people's hands. Then he started taking pictures with people. And unfortunately for me, they kept pushing the people through the lines to go down the water slide. So I got about maybe good minute, maybe a minute and a half, and kind of watching and see what was going on, and then they made me go down the water slide. But I get to the bottom, and Liza's videotaping me going down, and I come out of the water, I'm like, Puff Daddy's up there. She goes, what are you talking about? I go, no, really, no, he's actually standing up there. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Did you see him go down the slide?
No, he didn't, because he was wearing full street clothes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he probably like a $1,000 T-shirt and probably $10,000 jeans. But yeah, he was funny. He was acting all scared of the water slides, taking pictures of people and stuff. So seemed like a pretty cool guy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
At one point in my life, I wanted to be like Puff Daddy. And not because he was a rapper or a multimillionaire. I wanted to be a hype man.
Nice.
I think he was the best at just saying random quotes in the background of everyone's songs.
Yeah. He probably holds the record for like number of single words mentioned on any album.
Yeah. That's all I wanted to do. Just be that guy.
Bad boy. Yeah. He's surprised he came up to the top. I figure he may have done some one-liners, but not so much. Like, water slide. Or like, something like that.
Don't worry if I ride slides. I write checks.
That's it. There you go. Then he just throws a whole stack of money in the air and leaves.
Yes.
It'd be amazing.
And at some point, he's eating some cheesecake, and then there's Cambodian breast milk involved somehow.
Yeah, something like that. Wouldn't put it past him.
All right, anything else going on with you besides the Bahamas? Maybe we just go into our overall theme of the show?
Well, hold on. Let me tell you something. I built a new... Well, actually, I had a gaming PC, and now I just kind of overhauled it.
Okay.
So, and I did it right in time for the Steam sale.
Ooh, okay.
Steam sale. So good. Oh my God. So bad on my wallet though. The thing is like all the games are so cheap. I mean, like I don't think I've paid over maybe $6 or $7 for a game since the sale started. And we're talking like full games too. But the problem is the prices look fantastic when you look at them individually, but then all of a sudden you have a cart with 5 or 6 games in it and you're going, wait a minute. This is the same price as a normal game. But yeah, I don't know. I always get tons of stuff at the Steam sale. So, and now they got these trading cards. Makes it even more addictive.
Jim wrote a post about the Steam trading cards. Have you been totally sucked in?
Okay, so I've got a bunch of them through purchasing stuff through the sale this summer, and I just keep finding that like I get so many doubles. I feel like I'm back in grade school with baseball cards or like Pogs. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I got so many doubles, man. But I don't really know how it works or whatever, but I seem to get an abnormal amount of doubles. I think I've got like 4 Skyrim cards and like 3 of another card, and yeah, I don't know.
Can you trade them?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can, but it actually it's I haven't done it yet. Apparently I changed my password or something recently, so they make me wait in case it was like an account hack or something. But tomorrow I'll be able to trade them. So, and it gives you a list of the friends that have the cards you need and stuff, so it kind of does all the work for you.
Excellent.
Yeah. And yeah, so I upgraded my PC, and I'm looking forward to... Actually, I've been playing a few of the games that I downloaded, so we'll talk about that in a bit, I guess.
All right. I guess we'll go on with our overarching, not topic, the theme of the week, and this week's theme is the apocalypse.
Dun, dun, dun!
Considering there was a lot of apocalyptic things happening in gaming, in our own not personal lives, but the world of Toronto, and I guess Canada as a whole.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there was some horrific flooding out in Calgary that actually did some serious damage. And pop culture, of course. Yeah. There was some unbelievable apocalyptic events happening there. So I guess we'll start close to home.
Sure.
A couple of weeks ago, Toronto got hit with its biggest rainstorm in the history of ever.
Yeah.
And just to give people some context, we got, in a few hours, the amount of rain we normally get in a month.
Yep.
And streets were flooded, cars got completely submerged in water, basements flooded. I heard on The Edge, that radio station here, that there were a couple of guys who were actually sea-dooing in front of their house because the water was that high up.
That's insane. I saw a picture of a guy canoeing in his backyard.
How badly were you impacted?
I wasn't impacted really all that much. I left work before the storm started, and I got home probably about 45 minutes before it really started to pour.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we had power the whole time. And I mean, apparently tons of people were without power for days, some of them. But yeah, we never lost power. We watched the whole thing on the news and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And yeah.
Getting home was not a problem. I had some coworkers, one of my coworkers in particular, it took him 5 hours to get out of the city, and he never got home.
That is crazy.
He had to crash at a friend's place, and then he came back to work the next day in the same clothes.
Wow.
Wow. For me, I was able to get on the subway just before the rain poured, and then our shuttle back to the condo was able to get back in time, though parts of the subway station had already flooded, so there were already cars completely submerged, and we had to take some weird detours, but I was able to get home.
Wow, good.
From there, the power in our building went out, and we said, okay, power's out, I guess. At that point, I did not understand the gravity of the situation. Besides the fact seeing cars submerged underwater, I thought, maybe it's particular sewage pipes are plugged in this particular area. Whatever. I'm going to go home. Then power's out. All right, well, Steph and I are just going to play some Scrabble. That's fine. And then my mom says, are you okay? Are you still coming out to Brampton? I was like, that's the plan. I was supposed to get my car fixed. Why? What's going on? And then she sends me this picture of the highway completely submerged in water. And I was like, oh, maybe this is a little worse than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing the pictures and on CP24, they had a hashtag thing for Twitter called Flood24. Mm-hmm. And people were basically out in the streets sending pictures to the news station for everybody else to see. And some of the pictures, man, holy cow. That guy that lost his $300,000 Ferrari underneath the bridge.
Yeah.
Man, people running back to their cars and going in to grab things before the water went over their windows. Insane. Just crazy.
The fire alarm went off in our building, and it lasted for over 2 hours.
Oh, man.
Of just that loud drone. We tried to get out. We tried to get out of the city, or at least find somewhere to eat.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have any food. We were totally unprepared. We had no fresh water. Thankfully, water was running in our building, but we did not have food. So we were just kind of snacking on granola bars, biding our time until the power kicks back in, because that's what usually happens.
Right.
Because there's never any real natural disasters here in Toronto. And that just didn't happen. We drove around, couldn't get really anywhere, so we just went back and crashed here. And we didn't get power until the Wednesday. So it happened on a Monday. We went 2 nights without electricity.
That's crazy. Did you have food? Obviously, anything that spoiled or anything in the fridge?
Everything spoiled in the fridge.
Yes.
We had to clear that out over the weekend. It was gross.
That's crazy. I remember when I used to live with my grandfather, he used to have this giant freezer in the basement with all kinds of meat and stuff that he'd buy throughout the year. And if the power ever went out and he lost that, there'd be so much money wasted.
Yeah, I'm glad that things didn't end. They could have ended up a lot worse, at least I felt, based on seeing all of the damage that was caused by the rain in those pictures.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone got seriously injured or anything. Some of my favorite pictures were from that GO train that just got completely flooded.
Yeah, and the snakes. There were water snakes.
Snakes in the water.
Snakes on a train.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody had put a picture on or something, and people were sitting on the train, the water was coming or rising or whatever, and somebody was like, it's the GO-tanic. And then somebody else retweeted them or something and said, get real. And there's half a foot of water because the Titanic sank. But, crazy stuff, man. Lots of weird things that you would probably only see maybe, hopefully, once in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely a night to remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a little while there, I totally felt like I was living through The Last of Us, the start of that, or The Walking Dead, of just the entire city falling apart and the human chaos involved with driving around those streets and there's no power anywhere and...
Yeah, totally.
All the damage. Yeah, I felt like Steph and I were living through the apocalypse.
Martial law just kicks in.
Yes.
Everybody starts looting.
If you guys have not checked out any of the pictures or saw any of the coverage that happened on #StormTO, definitely check it out.
Yeah, you definitely won't be disappointed. There's some pretty crazy pictures. You can even go on now and find some people have put an entire collection together of some of the best that they've found. Mm-hmm. And just really crazy to look at. places that you see all the time normally, and then all of a sudden they're totally different, completely submerged.
All right, so I'm going to suggest a little bit of a change in format here. There's one thing we should talk about.
Sure.
I think we should talk about Sharknado at the end.
Okay.
Because we've gone almost 20 minutes of not said anything about video games. So where do you want to start?
Let's go with what I've been playing from the Steam sale.
Okay, what have you been playing?
So I bought a ton of games. Notably, I think I bought GTA 4 today as well, just because it was, like $3 or something, $4.99 for GTA 4. I bought. Have you ever heard of a game called Evo Land?
Vaguely. That sounds vaguely familiar.
So it's basically you're an RPG fan. Okay. It's basically it's like an RPG that takes you through the history of RPGs. So you start off and you literally are close up on this really bad looking sprite, and it goes move left, and then when you move left, you can't move right. You can only move left. So you move left, and it goes, you've gained the ability to move right. So then you move right, and it's like, no, you can move up and down. And basically, as you progress through the game, it sort of introduces all the history of RPGs. So like at one point, you open a chest, and it gives you 16-bit color. And then your game changes to 16-bit color, and then you open up something, it's like you get a sword, and then you get the ability to cut things down, and then it like eventually progresses into like a fully 3D RPG high-def game.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty fun, pretty cool. I've played about maybe a couple hours of it, but yeah, it's definitely neat. And you get introduced, like now you have turn-based fighting, and then it sort of switches it up as you go along, and yeah, it's crazy.
That sounds really rad.
Yeah.
Speaking of Evo, Evolution Championships... Wait, Evo Championship Series happened.
Yes.
Yeah, so huge fighting game tournament. They had a super huge number of people watching that through the live stream. I believe over 1.7 million people this year.
That's crazy.
I actually got a few of my coworkers into it. I
Nice.
just started watching. They come over to my desk and say, hey, what's going on? I'm like, oh, this is Evo. And then they pull up a chair and then, don't tell our boss that we were doing this. But yeah, we were watching... some of the fights, and I was starting to explain a bit of the nuances, and then all of a sudden I was getting messages over the weekend like, I can't stop watching this! This is amazing!
It's so awesome. I caught the Marvel Finals.
Yes, you saw the best part.
Yeah, it was so good. Yeah.
Watching Justin Wong make that run, you couldn't not cheer for him after all he went through.
No, and the thing was, like, I'm not a huge fighting game fan, but I was totally sucked into it. Totally sucked into it.
Yeah, I think one of the big things about fighting games as a spectator sport, for lack of a better term, is that it is a lot easier than, say, StarCraft or a first-person shooter to follow, because it's just two dudes beating each other up on screen.
That's it.
Where, as opposed to, say, StarCraft, where you have to see a lot of different units and you're constantly flipping perspectives, and then from a first-person shooter, you're only seeing, like, one particular view at a time and don't really get a full sense of the action.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I've like about watching fighting games in particular. Besides my general interest in them, it's just really easy to follow of like, oh man, that dude is getting worked.
Or like gigantic combos and stuff. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. If you get a chance, Matt, I would also recommend watching the Smash Bros. Finals.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
So at a certain point, that became the #1 most watched fighting game of all time. Over 135,000 concurrent viewers watching people play Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Holy cow.
They actually put on a really great show. The Smash Bros. Community have been often ostracized from the FGC as a whole, but they really brought it this year.
Excellent.
Third most number of competitors, like over 600 people competed in this 12-year-old game.
Wow.
And they got the second most viewers, and they definitely earned my respect.
Yeah, I was going to say, it'd be hard to ignore now.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if Nintendo will still try to shut the whole thing down. What else is going on? Yeah, so you were saying. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Evo Land RPG. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, definitely try it if you can. I think right now it's on the Steam sale for another maybe 10 or so hours. Pick it up for like $5. And yeah, it's really very sort of like Link to the Past feel. It's got a bunch of different elements, kind of like some Diablo elements, some just real old school RPG elements, Final Fantasy, things like that. So yeah, if you're a fan of RPGs, it's an interesting take on one, definitely, and kind of very nostalgic at the same time.
Cool.
Yeah, and I got a game called Deadlight, which is basically like a 2D side-scrolling zombie shooter / platformer at the same time. pretty cool. It looks pretty good. Plays pretty well. You can use it with the control stick, so it makes it a little bit better. Literally, I've just been buying a ton of sort of smaller games, mixed in with a couple bigger games, and my Steam game list is quickly piling up, and I'm asking myself, like, when am I ever going to get to play all these games? But that's the beauty of it. Once you buy it once, you've got it forever. You can install it anytime you want. So stack my library, and then hope my Steam library looks probably like Jason's video game library. So, yeah. And then, I was playing, I had a gift certificate for Best Buy, so I bought MLB 13 for my Vita. And I'm really good at this game for some reason. Like, the last couple iterations I put down because I just don't like it. But this one, man, just home runs left and right. My guy's jacked right up. It's fun.
What get up and does your guy play?
He is a right fielder, but literally like a powerhouse. I'm talking like Jose Bautista quality caliber. Home run king. So it's fun to play this time around because apparently I'm really good at 13 and not 12, 11, or 10. So
does it have online play?
It does, yeah. But the thing with the Vita and online, specifically ad hoc, like when you play with two Vitas kind of near each other, there's a lot of lag. So it for a game that depends so much on timing, it's very hard to play. I imagine playing online. I haven't had an opportunity to play anybody online because the games take a really long time as well. But I would think that even if it's just a little bit of lag, anything that relies so heavily on timing is going to suffer, right? So trying to hit the ball as it comes to you and then it's lagging, the experience is pretty affected. So yeah, and other than that, I bought Limbo for the iOS. It's an old PC game. Or I shouldn't say old, it's relatively new, but it's been around for a while on the PC. It just came out for the iOS. And it's cool, man. Really interesting. Sort of all black and white, kind of really shadowy, meant to be sort of like in limbo, like a purgatory kind of environment. And it's basically like a puzzle / platformer. And some of the puzzles are, you think of it right away, and then some of the puzzles, like I, for the life of me, spend an entire subway ride, like want to throw my phone across the subway, can't figure it out. And then I go online and I find a walkthrough, and it's like the easiest thing ever in the history of gaming. And then I want to throw my phone even harder. So, so if you get a chance, check out Limbo too.
I played a little bit of Limbo when it first came out on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah.
And I love the art style. But it immediately struck me as a game that I probably would not like for the trial and error parts and the puzzle solving, which is kind of a problem that I'm still having with Luigi's Mansion, where you just kind of get to a point and then you're stuck and you don't know what to do, and then you have to go to a guide, and then you find the answer, and it really wasn't all that difficult, and you're just like, oh, damn it.
Yeah. It's funny, every time I have to go to a guide for anything or a walkthrough for anything, I always wonder, like, what did I do when I was younger? You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have internet or anything like that, so it's like, if your friends hadn't beaten it, you were screwed.
Or you hoped that Nintendo Power was going to cover it, or EGM or something like that, or they would have those guides that only covered the first 3 levels, but you were stuck on level 4.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I remember those days of just getting entire world maps of The Legend of Zelda and all that stuff. I wonder, how did they get the screen grabs for every single... Because there would be screen grabs of, say, an entire map of Super Mario 3, like World 1-1, and they would just take screens of the entire level. Like, how did you do that back then? I
don't know. I guess just maybe because of the actual technology they used, maybe they just had those already in, like, full format. Like, Nintendo could send them, an entire level laid out or something. I don't know. Otherwise, I would think it would just be scrolling through and taking pictures.
Yeah, did someone like hold a camera up to the screen? And
I don't know. They were pretty clear pictures, so I don't know. I often wonder, like, maybe we were really good back then, but now because of things like Google and, IGN and GameFAQs, maybe we just got dumber. Maybe we could figure this out, these puzzles and these games out, 20 years ago, but now we've sort of dumbed ourselves down by relying on the internet. Who knows?
Maybe. I know I have gotten worse as a gamer, or at least less tolerant of things I get stuck on. The moment I get stuck, I'm just like, I'll go get a guide and figure this out. Because
Go ahead.
I don't necessarily get joy from, like, being the guy that, oh yeah, I solved that thing. Like, I just want to get through it.
Yeah, I think it's time, right? Like none of us have any time anymore. So, whereas back when we were kids, it was like, oh, I've got 7 hours to play this game. I'll just figure it out. Now it's like, I don't have 7 hours to sit here. I'll just go to a guide.
Yeah, and also when you were younger, it was the only game you had for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And so obviously you've been playing The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'll leave that to you because you could say what you're playing and we can kind of meet up at the end.
Okay, we'll meet up at the end. So, not really apocalyptic themed, but I played some Capcom versus SNK 2.
Nice.
It recently came out on the PlayStation Store, PS2 port. I had never played Capcom versus SNK anything up until this point. Though I did want to play Capcom versus SNK 2 when it came out on the GameCube.
Okay.
So, there were no fighting games on the GameCube. I believe there might have been 1 or 2 3D fighting games, like Soul Calibur 2 is probably the big one.
Right.
But as far as 2D fighters go, I think that was it. And I did not pick it up, because I saw the reviews for it were pretty poor, and the thought of playing a fighting game on that GameCube controller just seemed like the worst. So I'm only getting around to it now, and it's kind of a shame that I didn't. I don't know if I would have fully appreciated it then, and I definitely don't fully appreciate it now because I only played it for about an hour, but it just seemed really solid as a fighting game. It was really fast and fluid, and the thing I appreciate about it the most is that I've played both King of Fighters 12 and 13, and I don't understand those games at all.
Really?
I know how to put in special moves and super moves, but I don't understand any of the strategy or how the combo system works. I can just do staccato hits and that's it. I don't understand how anything combos into each other.
Yeah.
But so this Capcom vs. SNK 2 is a King of Fighters format where the battles are 3-on-3, where it's just one person at a time, and then you just kind of work your way down through the lineup. And it also has the King of Fighters roll system, so anyone has the ability to roll through fireballs and stuff. And because it has those elements, but the Capcom inputs are in there, it feels a lot more natural to me.
Okay. But is it like a case where you can use anybody on the Capcom side and be good at it, but if you touch anybody on the SNK side, you're terrible at it?
No, I think it is easier to grasp the SNK people in the Capcom template.
Okay, got it.
Because I guess just the nature of how they're put together makes a little more sense to me.
Got it.
I guess the big challenge, because this is a PS2 port, there's no online play, and I don't have anyone locally to play with me, so I've got it mostly for the novelty, but it is fun. I also played The Walking Dead 400 Days. Did you get around to that?
Nope. I downloaded it, and I didn't get a chance to play it. Because it's one of those games that I want to sit down and actually play through, and I didn't really have that much time to do something like that. I ended up playing a bunch of little games, but disappointed, because I wanted to talk to you about it. Yeah, and I'm sure you wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, you really don't need a lot of time to play this game.
No?
I beat it in under 2 hours.
The whole thing?
Yes.
Really?
It's really short.
Oh, had I known that, I would have tackled it.
So how much do you want to know about The Walking Dead 400 Days?
Well, let's delve into it, but maybe try to keep the spoilers to a minimum.
Okay, so, and I don't want to spoil it for you personally, so I'll try and tap dance around this as best I can.
Okay.
It is formatted a little differently from the other episodes.
Oh, well, I know it's kind of like mini episodes, right?
Yes,
okay.
That you can tackle in any order. You are introduced to a bunch of characters that may or may not show up in the second season. That is not made clear intentionally. So that kind of... I'm very curious to see how it all fits, and how much of what I had just done is going to matter in the end.
Yeah, I read an article about it, and they said that it was sort of unclear how the choices you made in 400 Days were going to affect the sequel, but they said that they definitely would. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they are. The thing that was kind of a bummer to me was the best part of The Walking Dead was getting really invested in the cast and the characters, and the way this game is formatted, that you don't really get to do that. Yeah. I think that they get just enough done in each episode to establish one main thing about each person.
Right.
And some of those are pretty cool. I'm just kind of curious to see where it goes from there.
So it's almost just like a placeholder.
Yes, it's very much a placeholder.
Okay.
Like, if you are looking for the girth of a full Walking Dead episode, this definitely isn't it.
Got it.
It's almost like... I mean, the Walking Dead episodes are short to begin with, but this felt even smaller than that.
It's interesting. But I guess, I don't know, maybe Telltale's putting all their efforts into the second one. They were just like, here, have this.
It kind of feels like that. Like this, I don't know if this should have been $5. I mean, it's splitting hairs at that point.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it doesn't quite feel like a full thing. And I mean, that's fine for what it is. Like, it's not trying to be.
Yeah, but if you think about it, on the Steam sale, Walking Dead was like $6 or $7.
For the whole thing?
Yeah, for the whole thing. So, when you look at it that way,
yeah,
maybe they should have just thrown that in when you bought it, right? Because it hasn't been included in any of the Walking Dead packages yet.
No.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, it was okay. And I guess we should talk about The Last of Us now. Do we want to talk spoilers?
I don't know. Maybe we can skirt around them creatively, avoid them.
Or we can just talk about Sharknado now, wrap up the show, and then leave The Last of Us at the end.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So, switching gears. Sharknado.
Sharknado, indeed.
Dude! So, it was Friday, and everyone on the internet's talking about this movie Sharknado, and I'm just, what the heck are people talking about? A shark in a tornado. What kind of abomination is this? Mm-hmm. So I read a little more about it, and people are saying, yeah, it's cheesy made-for-TV movie, go see it. And I was like, okay, fine. It airs here in Canada Friday night. I record it on PVR. We had some people over. They were going to come over anyway. They weren't coming over just for Sharknado.
No,
but
they stayed for Sharknado.
They stayed for Sharknado. And man, what a movie.
Oh, yeah.
It is... I
have to say, fans of Sharktopus knew what they were getting into.
I haven't really been following the sci-fi made-for-TV movie scene, so I can't speak to the quality versus those.
Well, as far as the shark-based movies, that's the only two. Just Sharktopus and Sharknado.
Okay.
So, yeah, definitely watch Sharktopus if you get a chance.
All right.
It's about the same caliber.
All right, yeah, I almost felt like this movie was either written by geniuses or really dumb people. Of just how do you...
It's a thin line.
It's a very thin line between just dumb and genius. And I think they did a very good job of staying on the good side of it. Yes, it's dumb, but they almost hit it. They hit the dumb perfectly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's campy and it's cheesy, but it's like perfectly cheesy.
Yes.
You never, like you roll your eyes, but you roll your eyes in like a fun way as opposed to like, oh, I can't watch this. And like the action and stuff is so over the top. Some of the scenes, like the movie starts off with a tornado picking all the sharks up out of the ocean and then throwing them around the city. I mean, it could happen. It could happen in real life.
And it just gets crazier from there.
Yep.
We're watching, just laughing like, how does this get any crazier? How does this get any crazier?
And it's got the guy from Beverly Hills 90210.
Yes. Is it Ian or Ian?
I think it's Ian. Ian Ziering. And let's not forget the funniest part of the entire thing. Somebody mentioned on Twitter, the funniest part of Sharknado was that Tara Reid was playing a responsible adult. Yeah, somebody's mother at that.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you go wrong, though? Ian Ziering and Tara Reid.
Mm-hmm. There are some spoiler parts of that movie. I want to talk about it, but we shouldn't.
You know what? I'm sure if it's spoiled a little bit, it won't be lost on people. So I'm sure it'll be okay.
There's the part in the middle and the part at the end.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
There's a part in the middle in the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, the epic...
there's so many things I want to say. we should just spoil it. I mean, really, like, spoiling Sharknado, I mean, come on. Does anybody really care?
I just don't want to deprive anyone of those two moments in particular.
Well, the last moment is in the trailer.
It is in the trailer.
So you can spoil the last moment.
Oh, but you have to set it up and... No, I don't want to do it.
Okay.
I don't want to do it. Go watch Sharknado. Yeah. Everyone, just do it.
Oh,
it's free.
So good. It is free.
If you have sci-fi or space up in Canada.
Yeah. And
they're probably going to repeat the hell out of that movie.
It's true. Free is about $1,000 less than you should be paying for it. So... yeah, worth every penny. Oh, it's so badly good. Yeah.
All right, I guess we've come up to the end of the show. We're going to talk about some Last of Us and spoilers and whatnot. So, Matt, what's going on with you?
So for me, I've got a GTA 5 piece coming up for Biff Band Pop.
Ooh.
Sort of like a retrospective / look ahead at what's coming up.
That gameplay trailer. Oh my goodness.
Fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing I like the most about it is the drop in, drop out for all 3 characters. Did you see how they did that? So like you could be running down the street with one guy and then just switch to one of the other characters, and it puts you right in the middle of whatever he's doing at that time.
Yeah.
So like he switches it and the guy's robbing a bank, and then all of a sudden it switches over and it's him in the car driving away from the police.
I'm very, very curious to see how that all works.
It seems too ambitious, but I mean, who knows? They've been working on this game for like 35 years, so hopefully it's worth it. I'm sure it will be. Yeah, I can't really wait for it. So that's what I got going for Biff and Pop. And then hopefully Screaming Eagle podcast coming up at some point this week. Probably not this weekend, but early next week.
Awesome. Which of the GTAs is your favorite?
Probably GTA 4.
All right.
Yeah, I like GTA 4. I had it for console, and like I said, I just bought it for the Steam sale. So I bought it for the Steam sale mostly because I want to put some of those graphic mods in it. Drive around in like a BMW or an Audi or something, like high res real life sort of photorealistic mods. Mm-hmm. So see how that goes.
I've only played 2 GTA games. Well, 2 and a little bit. So as a hardcore Nintendo fanboy, GTA is just not a thing in that universe.
Right. Yeah.
So GTA 4 was my first one, and then I played The Lost and Damned and Ballad of Gay Tony.
Right.
I think Ballad of Gay Tony was my favorite.
Ballad of Gay Tony's pretty good. My brother's playing Lost and the Damned right now.
That one's good as well.
He said it plays like Sons of Anarchy.
And the other one I played was Chinatown Wars on the DS.
Right.
So at a certain point in that game, I stopped doing missions, and my goal was just to be the ultimate drug dealer. I think at a certain point, I had all the money, and I didn't need any more. I could have just finished the game, and I said, no. Jimmy from Brooklyn is calling me for some cocaine, and he's got a lot of money on this, so I better drive this over.
That's awesome.
Something about just driving the drugs over, getting the money, and not getting caught by the cops, just, I don't know, it got to me. And I spent maybe a dozen or so hours of just straight up drug dealing in that game.
Amazing. The virtual drug kingpin.
Yes. All right, for me, I've got an EVO wrap-up. So we talked a little bit about it on the show. If you want to know how it all went down, you can go to splitkick.com and check out my write-up on that if it is live. As of recording, it is just wrapping up the editing process. I need to get some screen grabs for that. Also on Splitkick, it's been really busy. Jim has a piece on Steam trading cards. Martin has a review for The Last of Us. Ben has started doing some not news. So Ben has started writing more newsy type pieces, but he's putting a personal spin on those. We've got a Mag Runner review from Wallace, a Pool Nation review from Ben as well, a piece called, I think, Console with Any Other Name Would Smell as Stupid. So you can guess which that one's about.
Yeah.
Jim did a great review for Animal Crossing New Leaf. I really love the angle that he took with that, of his experience of playing that game with his daughter.
Yeah, I read that. I actually really like that article as well.
It's really charming.
Yeah. She's leaving him notes and stuff, and he walked into her house and it was furnished better than his.
That's really cute. At some point, I probably should get that game.
I was thinking of the same thing.
All right, we should do that.
Maybe we'll do it, and then we'll go visit each other's virtual houses.
Yeah, the
right.
Bosscast swap meet.
Yes.
Just swapping.
Yeah, I'll bring all the vegetables I can find, and
all
you
right.
can bring whatever else.
I can hook you up with some turnips.
Done. Turnip dealer. You're a drug dealer in GTA and a turnip dealer in New Leaf.
I've got the stuff. I've got the turnips. I got them at like 105 bells.
Jet the turnip dealer. Gonna turn up a profit. And I'll let myself up.
All right. And there's also should be up real soon is the Injustice Gods Among Us review from Aaron. And one other thing, episode 4 of The Game Hunter by Jason. That has also been posted on Splitkick. So definitely head over to splitkick.com because there is a lot of great content up there. All right. heading into the home stretch. I'm running out of breath, man. I don't even know if I can talk about The Last of Us right now.
You can do it. I have faith in you.
You can email us at bosscast@splitkick.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Review us there as well. On Twitter, we are at Matty Lang, at Jett Jasicki, at Jett Landicho, and at SplitKickCom. So that wraps up the main portion of the show. We will start talking about The Last of Us now.
So if you haven't seen it, or you don't want to be spoiled, or you haven't played it, now would be the time to
bail out. Bail out. All right. I immediately want to jump to the end, but I don't know if that's the right place
fine,
to start.
man. Let's just go.
Man, in that particular situation where you did all that stuff to get to a point where you could save the universe, but this little girl's going to die that you've been with the entire time, would I have done the same thing as Joel? I don't know.
I don't know either, but you know what made me upset was the fact that they didn't give you a choice.
I kind of like that they didn't give you a choice.
Yeah?
Yeah. I feel like a choice in that particular situation would have diluted what they were ultimately trying to go for. I think they really wanted to cement the fact that Joel is not necessarily a good guy.
Yeah, that's true.
And that entire game was linear up until that point. I kind of don't like it when it's linear up to that point. Then they have the multiple choices at the end. It's kind of forced.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
So, if you were Joel in that situation, would you have sacrificed Ellie for the greater good?
See, it's tough. Like, as I was playing the game and I got to the end, I played it in a relatively short span. Like, I think I played it probably over 2 days and I beat the entire thing.
Holy cow.
So, yeah, like I played probably 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day, like over a weekend. I literally just immersed myself right in it. And I can say that having done it that way, when it came time to sort of make the choice at the end, I was happy to choose Ellie because I'd been so invested in her character the whole time. Mm-hmm. But once I beat it and I kind of thought about it, like a few days, like it's one of those games where you think about it for a couple of days afterwards, right? Mm-hmm. And as I thought about it, I was like, that's what kind of made me mad was that they didn't really give me a choice. Because like in the moment I saved her and I felt really good about it. But afterwards I was like, man, if they had harvested whatever it was that they were going to do, yeah, it would have killed her, but we would have saved mankind. You know what I mean? So it's like, I look back on it and I go, if I had the choice, maybe I wouldn't have gone to rescue her. I don't know.
I don't think I think I would have let her go. If it was personally me in that situation, she had said that she wanted to go through with this.
Yeah.
Or at least I would have had liked to have talked to her and say, this is what's going to happen. Are you cool with this?
Yeah, exactly.
Say yes or no.
Yeah, but they kind of, it's the way they sort of set it up, right? Like you get knocked out and they steal her kind of thing and doesn't really give you that option. But I don't know. Like I think if I had it to do again, if there was an option, I don't know if I'd save her. I think I'd probably let her go for the good of mankind. Mm-hmm. But they really they play it off the fact of, like, you remember at the beginning of the game where your daughter gets shot and then you sort of carry her. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the game, you're carrying Ellie the same way you were carrying your daughter, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's very sort of poignant that way. Like you really feel like you're doing the right thing, but you really feel Joel's sort of compassion for Ellie, and you see that he's kind of, because throughout the whole game he's saying, you're not my daughter, and you can tell that he's really trying to fight it. But then at the end, he just kind of gives into it, and then he carries her and saves her life, and you can tell that he's sort of taking her into that position as opposed to just an accomplice. Mm-hmm.
And just the way that he totally lies to her face at the very end of the game. And
I know.
I wouldn't be surprised if she kind of got the sense that he is lying to her, but to her, he's all she's got. So, okay, fine. Just give me that little nudge and I'm with you.
Yeah.
I heard in focus testing that particular ending was hated by everyone that showed up, and there were even people on the team that said, we don't like how this ends. And certain people said, nope, this is what we're doing.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because we want to be ballsy.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't totally disappointed with the ending. I think it's one of those endings that the more you think about, the more you get. Because at the time, after you've gone through all this stuff and you get the ending and you sort of feel like, oh, well, okay. Like that's it. But then the more you think about it, it makes a lot more sense. Like with her lying to her, with Joel lying to Ellie at the end, and she just kind of takes it, but you can tell she maybe kind of knows what's going on, but she's just going to take Joel at face value because like you said, he's all she has, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know. What do you think? There's a sequel in order here, or
Without playing Inside Baseball, not that I know anything more,
yeah,
I kind of would like it to just end that way, but I don't think that's going to happen.
no, you think that the popularity is going to warrant a sequel?
Yeah, I think it's way too popular for Sony to just leave that money on the table. Though I'm kind of curious to see where they go. If they were to do a sequel, I would love to see that game star Ellie and have Joel in a minor, if not in that game at all.
Yeah, I could see that. Like she's outlived him, or he's passed away, or something, and then she starts her own adventure.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that. Or maybe, and yeah, also like with her mutation, or I should say her infection, maybe that's mutated her somehow. It gives her some sort of resistance or powers or something like that that she can use.
You're starting to sound like the sequel to Dead Island. That's Dead Island Riptide.
Is it really? I haven't played it.
That's actually the plot of Dead Island Riptide.
Amazing.
Spoilers.
There you go. Yeah, spoilers afterwards.
Oh man, I tuned in for the Last of Us spoilers, but I didn't want anyone to ruin Dead Island Riptide for me.
Oh man, if you fall into that category, you are screwed. Yeah, so I don't know. I'd like to see a sequel. I do agree, though. I think that Joel is kind of played out.
So, I mean, back to Ellie. I mean, talking about the game on the podcast these last few weeks, and I've been kind of lukewarm about it. I thought the scenes where you played as Ellie with no Joel around were hands down the best parts of that game.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
I think at that point, I felt like the game was building up to that moment from a story perspective, mechanically, and at that point it just all clicked and all came together, and all of a sudden I was in those worlds feeling nervous, but also feeling a great sense of power when I was able to work my way through.
Yep, I agree.
And yeah, the thrill of just every single movement and everything I did, it worked. And I almost kind of wish... I'm not necessarily saying that Ellie should have been the start character throughout, but the feeling that part gave me, more of the game should have done that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think Joel felt a little bit sort of overpowered. Like every time I was going around with Joel, he always had like 15 guns and a bat, and nail bombs and Molotov cocktails. And it's like, I mean, you almost had to be pretty like dumb to die. And I mean, unless you get surprised or whatever it was, but
or a clicker Ellie, gets you,
or a clicker gets you. But with Ellie, she's so like she's played off as being kind of helpless. Like her attitude and everything is good, but she's got sort of this rough exterior, but you can tell that she's kind of timid a little bit as you go. And then when you get control of her and she's doing the hunting and she's doing, then she ends up having to fight and go through all this kind of stuff. You feel more accomplished having done those things with Ellie as opposed to having done them with Joel. Mm-hmm. When she jumps on a guy and stabs him like 5 times in the neck.
I love that animation.
Yeah, me too. It's fantastic. And it's way better. Like Joel stabs a guy, you're like, oh, Joel stabbed a guy. But Ellie stabs a guy, you're like, oh my God, Ellie stabbed a guy. This is fantastic. So yeah, I don't know. I would agree. I think that having Ellie as I think that Joel played his part in this one, and I think that it was done well. But definitely, if there was a sequel, I think it should definitely be more Ellie centric.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the whole conflict between Ellie and David?
Yeah.
Did that make you feel uncomfortable at all?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird. Like, that's sort of all I could, and then leading up to the fight with him in the diner, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It's like, I guess you sort of realize that, she's the only girl around. And regardless of her age, in a situation, like we live in a normal time and like we wouldn't think of it, but in a post-apocalyptic situation, who knows, right? So this guy could be, weird and creepy, or who knows? And I don't think that they sort of finish that as they could, like, because obviously you have the fight with him in the diner and then it's kind of over, but it was definitely a creepy vibe I got from him. You didn't really know that. I think that was the creepiest part. Like, it was like, is he a pervert? Is he weird? Is like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, bang, dead. Then it's over.
Yeah, he got finished off real good there.
Sure did. Yeah, real good.
Yeah, and they never like overtly said what he was trying to go for there, but you definitely got that feeling of, yeah, this guy's going for it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I really liked Tess.
Yeah.
And
yeah, Tess was good.
I think once the adventure started and realized, like, wait a minute, this girl's not on the box. There's no way she is going very far in this adventure.
Yeah.
Poor marketing. But I really liked her as a character. In a lot of ways, she seems stronger than Joel.
Yeah, she did. Well, I think because Joel's main defect was, I guess living with the death of his daughter, right? So he was sort of always flawed. You don't really find out a whole lot about her, though.
No.
So, I mean, maybe she wasn't flawed. She was just more like goal-oriented, let's get things done. Whereas Joel was kind of haunted the whole time, right? So,
yeah, he kind of checked out long before the game even started. Well, the real game even started.
Yeah.
I love the intro of The Last of Us. It is just so thrilling and powerful.
Yeah, it's really good.
I mean, you kind of could see where that was going. Like, at a certain point, you knew this kid was going to die, but maybe not like that. And it didn't. I don't think it took away from the moment. I kind of wish the game was paced a little more like that. I don't know if you could keep a full game going at that clip, but if more of the game was like that and had more Ellie in it.
You mean the running through the streets, panicked?
Yeah, I don't even know. Just the more dramatic like that. Yes. I don't know if you could keep that going though. Not in that game.
I kind of thought that as well. Like, the beginning, it starts off so well. Like you're just kind of thrown into it, and you sort of stop and have to take a breath at some point and go, like, holy crap, this is actually happening, right? Mm-hmm. And then as the game progresses, you find yourself sort of doing more of like a Splinter Cell type of game, where it's not so much running and gunning and fast-paced action, but more just like, sneak through this. Okay, now sneak through this. Okay, now sneak through this. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it was really jarring to get into that really mechanical, here's the room of walls, go sneak around these dudes. I don't think it really... Things started to turn around for me when you got to the part with the Humvee.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. They've added a new wrinkle to this whole scene, and now it's starting to come around, and it's not just sneak from room A to room B.
Yeah. I remember that first room of full of all the clickers. And it's like I got into it and I'm like, what am I doing? Like it didn't feel like I should have been there, and definitely shouldn't have been that long. Mm-hmm. And I agree though with the Humvee and you get ambushed. That's good.
Yeah, it was. I mean, from there it just got better.
Yeah. And then obviously when you get control of Ellie, that's when everything takes off. That whole snow winter part of the game is fantastic.
Absolutely. I kind of felt like my overall view of the game, when I was talking about it having only played bits of it, I was almost kind of down on it, but having played it through to the end, it's almost changed my perception of the beginning, where I start to think, like, maybe it was all supposed to be like that from the get-go so that I felt like this at the end.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's still things that I didn't like as much, like how mechanical the beginning feels, but it almost doesn't matter at the end when it wrapped up the way it did.
Yeah, but I mean, you still spend a lot of time with it, right? So
yeah.
you're from a story standpoint, a game can be completely different than from a controls and sort of immersion standpoint, right? So, I don't know.
Did it bother you that during that entire year, Ellie never learned how to swim, or that Joel never bothered to teach her?
Yes. Yes, it did. And it's funny, I totally forgot all about that, but as soon as you said that, I remembered thinking that, so many times during the game as I was playing. It changes seasons and changes this and that, and it's like, Ellie still can't swim.
Still can't swim, and coincidentally, there are pallets everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, water? Better find a pallet. There's a pallet over there. There's a pallet under that bridge. There's a pallet on the bridge. Yeah, no, it was bad. And he teaches her how to shoot a gun, and he teaches her how to do all these things, but he never teaches her how to swim.
No.
Very strange.
Some people are really bothered by the weird immersion breaks in that game. One of the things that irked me, and I know there's no real solution to it, but I was really bothered by how many staircases were barricaded by just random stuff so that you could not walk past them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean...
But that's a bigger fundamental problem of game design that we have not come up with an elegant solution for, other than let's go and barricade this stuff. It's the apocalypse, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're in an apartment building, but you somehow found 27 wooden crates. You know, like, where did you find those? And why did you carry them to the 21st floor to barricade that stairwell? You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Oh, the other thing, and it's funny that I was thinking, when you're playing through the game, it's so stealth-based at some points. Yet, did you ever notice that if you were with a group of people, it had no bearing on the game where they were standing? So, like, you could sneak past a clicker, but Ellie would walk right into him and you wouldn't notice her.
Yeah.
Or, like, you would be sneaking, like, down and crouching and walking really silently, and then Ellie would be running into things and knocking cups off tables and shit, and nobody would even hear her.
I mean, they kind of had to do that so that Ellie was not consistently blowing your cover.
No, I know, but, you know, if you're talking about full immersion, that definitely took it out.
Absolutely disorienting.
Yeah, but I mean, even her voice and stuff, too. Like, there were parts where you're trying to sneak past someone and you stop and you're directly behind a clicker, and then she brings out a joke book and starts telling you jokes, and you're like, wait a minute. You would hear that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of my favorite moments of the game was the entire scene in the car with the magazine.
Yeah.
Not the magazine, the comic book. No, it was a magazine.
Yeah.
There was a comic book and then the magazine, but the magazine was my favorite part.
Yeah, the magazine was funny.
And I loved just her innocence in a way where she just did not know what the world was like before the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And they do a really good job of just coming back to that thread. What did you think of the brothers? It
was kind of quick, and then you just sort of didn't hear anything about it anymore. So I don't know. I guess at the end, they go back to the place where the brother is, right? Or did I totally read that wrong?
I don't know. What do you mean by, like, at the very end of the game?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same place.
But I know that place that they were at the end, they'd mentioned at some point during the game.
Okay. Was that where Tommy was? Or wasn't that...
Oh, maybe it could have been where Tommy was. I'm not sure. Either way, sort of, I guess my point is that, you know, if, like, having a twin brother... I know that, obviously, you know, our relationship probably wouldn't be as strained as apparently Joel and his brothers was. But, I mean, I would probably just want to stay together with them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you have someplace safe, and it's guarded well, and there's lots of people with weapons. Let's just stay here. You know, I mean, I guess they had to find the fireflies for Ellie and whatnot, but maybe go back afterwards.
Yeah.
You know? But, yeah, I don't know. I felt that it was kind of like, you got a whole rush of story when you got there, and then you just kind of left and never heard about it again. Mm-hmm. So I didn't find a lot of the sort of other characters, the non-main characters, I didn't find a lot of them very... I didn't like a lot of them, to be completely honest. And I don't think their stories were fleshed out very well. I don't know. What did you think?
I thought they were good supporting roles. I don't think they were supposed to get... the full treatment. I think they handled Tess really well, and then there was the... I can't remember their names. There was the big brother and the little brother got infected.
Oh, yeah, you mean the guys from Lost. Have you ever watched Lost?
No, I have not.
Oh, man. It's exactly... Okay, so in Lost, there's this kid, and it's a black guy and his son, mm-hmm. and honest to God, the whole time I played Last of Us during that part, that's all I could think of. I was like, man, it's Michael from Lost and his son, Walt. And that was it. That's all I could think of. So if you get a second afterwards, or if you're listening to this, Google Michael and Walt from Lost, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they were okay, and Bill was interesting. I kind of feel like they wrote him as a straight character, and at the last minute said, well, he's a gay guy now, but we're just going to make him... he's going to be very nonchalant about it.
Yeah.
I like that about him, but I almost feel like it wasn't originally planned that way, maybe?
Yeah.
Or maybe they did it so good that it didn't feel like that.
But I think a lot of people took it that way. I think a lot of people said, like, oh, he's gay, but they didn't use it as a plot device. Like, it was just sort of there and wasn't really brought a lot of attention to. But I kind of agree with you. I think that it was probably a last minute decision that really played out well.
Yes, I'm glad that he wasn't overt about it, not because I feel weird about that, but yes, it could have gone very badly.
Yeah, definitely.
As far as political correctness and whatnot, but well done. So I
the
like
upside down shooting part was fun too.
Yes,
right before that.
That was kind of cool. Did you use the bow a lot in the game?
No, only when I was hunting with Ellie.
Oh, okay. So
I found it actually pretty useless.
I had a hard time with it, but there was a certain point when I was playing as Ellie when I discovered that the bow was actually really rad.
Really?
It's basically a long-range shiv when you have the time to set up and shoot people. For whatever reason, you just find a nice good spot to perch up, take them out, and then just hide, and they would have no idea where you were. Even if you missed your shot, they would just get startled by the noise, but they wouldn't go looking for you. So once I got the feel for that, I said, oh, okay, this is what I should be using every chance I get, and that's what I used going forward. But yes, for most of the game, I was just shooting people.
Nice. What was the weapon? You get probably about maybe 2/3 of the way through the game. It's got like a scope, but it's a handgun.
Oh, yes. It was a reference to something fat, or I can't remember what it's called.
I'm Googling the Last of Us weapons here. It was the El Diablo.
Okay.
Yeah, I ended up using that pretty much for the last half of the game.
That was a good call.
Fully upgraded it, and it was like a little hand cannon. Like one shot kills pretty much anything ever. So that's what I rampaged with through the last half of the game. Oh, another point. You know, at the sort of near the end, right before kind of Ellie gets captured, there's this whole underground under bridge thing with all these turned over buses and a bunch of like infected, and you have to sneak through them all.
Yes.
So, did you like attack any of them, or because I snuck through the entire thing and didn't attack a single person?
Wow, I fought all of them.
Did you?
I thought this was one of the most frustrating things I've ever played.
We had the opposite experience.
That was cool. At the very end. Wait, hold on. Which part are we talking? The part with the clickers? Because there's another.
Everything. There's clickers, bloaters, runners.
Yes, that part I fought everyone.
It's like the last time you meet clickers, bloaters, and runners all at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, the part where I snuck almost through entirely was that last room before you see Ellie on the operating table.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they clearly set that up as you're not going to get through the straight way, so you better find something else.
Yeah, because there's barriers and people with high-powered assault rifles.
Yes.
And flashlights.
So yeah, I was able to sneak through that. I shot one or two guys as I was running to the door.
Nice.
One other thing. I really love the scene where Joel gets impaled.
Yeah.
And where Ellie's taking charge at that point.
Yeah, and you're walking and everything's getting kind of blurry and you're stumbling. And then she shoots... Oh, yeah. No, that's awesome.
Really powerful moment, because when they cut scenes and it's the winter and it's only Ellie...
Yeah.
I was like, wait, is he dead? Did they just do that? Really?
You're like, did my wish of having Ellie as the main character in this thing just come true?
I can see why they kept him, and I'm fine with how they wrapped that up, but if they had just let Joel die right there, I would have been totally happy with that too.
Yeah, that's true too.
That would have been a good place to let him go.
Yeah.
I have no idea where the game would go from there, but
I don't know.
I kind of like the idea of him dying at that point.
It was something that I was open to. I remember thinking that as well and going, I was kind of like, it can't really happen, but what if it did? You know? So.
Yeah. All in all, when I think about that game in hindsight, I did really like it quite a bit. I don't know if I would personally. It wouldn't be my game of the year, and I don't know if I would have it in my finalist list. But I really liked that game a lot.
I liked it too, but I don't think it lived up to they hyped it up far too much.
Yeah,
I don't think it could have reasonably lived up to any expectation that I had for that game. Because I was so excited for it, and I listened to a lot of podcasts beyond, and they.
10 out of 10.
Oh yeah. And but even leading up to it, they were constantly doing interviews with the people that were creating it with Naughty Dog, and they were doing like previews of it and all this kind of stuff. And they were basically giving it Game of the Year already before they'd even played it. And 10 out of 10. Colin Moriarty called it a masterpiece, and I don't think that it could have lived up to that. And to be honest, I thought it was a great game, but I would say it's definitely probably one of, if not the best game on the console.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that it's like, I don't think it's a masterpiece. I wouldn't call it like the best game, I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
Because the story is good, but how can you compare it to something that takes, like a Final Fantasy VII, or it takes you 40 hours to play and you're totally immersed with multiple characters and this and that, and everybody has storylines and backstories and this and that. I think it's immersive because the characters are more lifelike now than they have ever been. But I don't think that necessarily makes it a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I think the Uncharted games were just as good. Or I should say at least Uncharted 1.
I didn't like Uncharted 1. I think Uncharted 2 was the pinnacle of that series. And
Yeah.
I would say that if I had to pick one, Uncharted 2 or The Last of Us, I would pick Uncharted 2.
Yeah, Uncharted 2 is pretty good. Yeah, I would say, yeah. I mean, but they're right on par, so...
Yeah.
I think you could easily hype Uncharted 2 up the same way they hyped Last of Us up. So I don't know. It's... Yeah, I guess, there wasn't really any way I wasn't going to be a little disappointed with it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as the negativity aside, I think both you and I can agree that it was a great game.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yes.
It was a great game. That's not what I'm trying. I don't mean to take that away from it. I don't think that it lived up to the hype that was created for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were basically calling it, like I said, a masterpiece, best game of the console, best game of the year.
Game of the forever.
Yeah, the game of the forever. I don't know. It's I don't think, like I said, I don't think it could have ever lived up to the sort of hype that I had already established for it. So,
all right. One last thing, not related to The Last of Us. How did we get this far and not mention Ryan Davis?
Ryan Davis.
Man.
Yeah, what a loss. What a loss.
I have been a fan of his work since the GameSpot days. I'd read some of his reviews. I may not have known him specifically as Ryan Davis until I started listening to the Hotspot.
Yeah.
I don't know if you listened to that podcast back in the day.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so, I mean, most people know him from Giant Bomb and his work there, and I started going to the Giant Bomb site and listening to the Bombcast. I think Jeff at the time was my favorite, and of course he's like the big famous one there.
Yeah.
But you really felt Ryan's impact when he was not on that show, because it was almost not the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think once I clued in on that, I started paying more attention to Ryan and his work and what he does, and was like, oh, wow, this guy's actually doing... I love his stuff. And the way he articulated things, especially dumb stuff, where he would just be talking about how he likes this stupid thing and was able to intelligently articulate why this stupid thing was so entertaining to him, was something that I really admired about him. And unfortunately, it was a huge loss for everyone in this community, and he will be missed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never met the guy, but I felt like I did, based on all of the episodes of the Bombcast that I'd listened to, and reading all of his stuff, and even the video game movie reviews he did on Tang.
Yep. Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I mean, I sort of equate this to the sort of same feeling I felt when I found out that Greg Miller had cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, obviously he's doing a lot better, but I think it's a community thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're all sort of in the community, and yeah, it's a loss for all of us. Whether you knew him really well or you just listened to him, it's a sad day, definitely.
So, I mean, our thoughts and prayers go out to Ryan Davis and his family and friends and all that.
And I'm sure Jason would echo the same sentiments.
Yes. That was a really downer way to end the show. But we had to get that out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, shout-outs to Ryan Davis, wherever you are. And I don't know how to end this, man.
Oh yeah, because we already did the ending.
Yeah, we did the ending, and now we did the spoilers and the other ending now. The true ending.
Okay, real quick. 3 words on your final impression of The Last of Us.
Really good. Yes. I've been trying to...
how could I beat that?
I'm trying to capture that in 3 words that it was kind of a bit slow to build up, but I really liked how it ended.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm going to go... oh man, I didn't want to use the word disappointing. But I can't help but say that I was a tiny bit disappointed just because, like I said, it couldn't live up to the hype. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say disappointing, but satisfied.
Okay.
I was satisfied with it. I enjoyed the game. I thought it was great. But like I said, I don't think it could have lived up to the hype. Regardless.
Flawed but wonderful.
There you go. Definitely.
Okay, there we go.
Flawed but wonderful. Disappointed but satisfied.
And it wasn't even that flawed. It's just the minor nuances that stopped it from being what we think it could have been. Or it was, or as it was hyped up as.
Yep. The one big thing, I guess we can sort of end with this is, do you remember in the preview, like when they actually showed the, I guess it was not at E3, but when they first sort of revealed it, and they showed a video of Ellie and Joel going through this sort of apartment complex, and then this guy comes with a shotgun, and Joel wrestles the shotgun away from him, and then kicks him to the ground, and then shoots him in the head. Yes. And it was like Last of Us. The whole time I was waiting for this game, I was like, I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to like wrestle a gun off a guy and then shoot him in the head, and then run to the next guy and do it. But that wasn't the case at all. It was all really sort of like scripted fight scenes.
I could be wrong on this. And I may have heard this from somewhere or didn't. I heard there was a lot of negative feedback about that particular moment of the trailer, and they cut that from the game. Really? Yes.
Oh, they shouldn't have cut that.
People thought it was too much.
That would have taken me from like a 9.1 to like a 9.3. Oh, yeah, man. No, I was disappointed. I thought it, and then a lot of the sort of breaks in the combat were all sort of quick time.
Yeah. The way we're talking about this, it's like the worst 9.1 ever.
No, I mean, like I said, man, honestly, like we could sit here and be like, oh, this game's fantastic, it's great, but then that's what everybody says. Mm-hmm. I think that, the people that are listening to this would, I mean, if they've already played it, they've obviously probably got an opinion as well. But they don't want to hear us go, oh, it was the best game ever, this is great, okay, bye. I think they're going to want the sort of other opinions, other views on it as well. Sure. And I'm sure they share a lot of the same opinions too, right?
Yeah. Though we totally did just that for BioShock Infinite.
That's true.
But when I think about it, when I think about my time playing BioShock Infinite versus my time playing The Last of Us, I think I enjoyed BioShock Infinite more.
Yeah, I think I did too.
Yeah.
And I think I enjoyed BioShock Infinite more because of the ending.
Yeah.
And again, we won't get into spoilers for BioShock.
Wrong spoiler cast.
But the ending for BioShock Infinite for me was much more satisfying.
I was satisfied by The Last of Us ending. I liked how daring it was. I guess the BioShock Infinite ending is pretty daring too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the end of BioShock Infinite just made me go, like, mind blown.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
So yeah, BioShock Infinite, totally awesome, guys.
Spoilers for everything.
Spoilers. When we do our Game of the Year lists, the BioShock Infinite will probably be a bit higher than The Last of Us.
Spoilers. Well, on that note,
we should probably get out of here.
All right.
So, till next time, see ya.
Take care, guys.